Well, Eve, that's the big question, isn't it? I'm standing right now outside Montparnasse train station, obviously a busy commuter hub here in Paris, the 36th consecutive day of strike action, the fourth major day of protests, with all the major unions calling on workers in various sectors to come out and take part in the strikes and, of course, in the protests. We're seeing calls for Paris metro workers, state railway workers to continue their strike action, of course, and to protest, but also dock workers, teachers, health workers, lawyers, pilots, now not just over pension reform, but also over their own working conditions. Now, the question, of course, is whether or not we're going to see huge turnout like we saw at the start of the movement in December. That's still unsure. We've seen slightly less turnout over subsequent protests. Of course, there's still a lot of public support for these strikes, but of course, transport chaos taking its toll on commuter patience, and of course the strike action has cost businesses in Paris and across France millions of euros. So public support evenly divided. So we'll see today if that translates into a big turnout or not for the protests.
And meanwhile, Andrew, we have seen the government and union leaders back in talks. Are we seeing any sign of concessions to break this impasse?
Well, yeah, this week has really been a key week for negotiations between government and the unions. Now, the government this week has once again been hinting that it is open to negotiation on one of the key parts of President Emmanuel Macron's pension reform project, which is, of course, the so-called pivot age of 64. The government wants to raise the age at which workers can retire to obtain rights to a full state pension from 62 to 64. Now, of course, some of the unions, such as the more hardline unions, like the CGT union, for example, they've demanded that the French government withdraw the plans altogether, and they're not ready to compromise even on this point. Some of the more moderate unions, such as the CFDT union, they've said they're prepared to compromise over the pivot age, and with the government also making overtures to that effect, it could some saying indeed that the government might be hoping to reach an agreement in separate talks with the CFDT union to, in effect, break the backbone of the strike, as it were.